Greenslopes Baptist Church has met on the site since 1920, but for 30 years prior, its fellowship had already been ministering in the local area. So, what has God been doing through this fellowship over that time, which can perhaps best be described as one of the most tumultuous periods in human history?
And my grandparents, Sam and Alice Bowring, lived in Cedar Street, about 6 houses from the church, and they were foundation members in the church, as I understand, when it moved from Thompson Estate. And my mum was married there in about 1937, and they attended the church. And Reverend Marks was the pastor then. I remember going to Buds and Sunday School, and then we came back when I was about 17. But I was superintendent for Christian Endeavour young people, and I used to go around many churches, and I found key people, secretaries and key people in churches they came from Greenslopes. There was a great spiritual movement at Greenslopes, and many leaders, qualified leaders and good leaders, spread out and went to many churches, started them, and very key people in those churches, and it all started from Greenslopes. We had, if you see the photos, we had a big Sunday school, and a Sunday school picnic was just so many people there. I remember collecting the bread at 3 o'clock in the morning for the picnic. But and then we had 350 in the Sunday school under Mr. Jones, Monty Jones. He did a wonderful job, and it was a very exciting time.
I attended Greenslopes from a very early age. I think I was about 2, and went to Greenslopes School, and the principal there, Mr. Burt, he became a member of the church too, but a lot of us from the school attended Sunday school. And I was saved in 1964 and baptised, and then enjoyed youth during the 60s and 70s at Greenslopes.
I came to the church in 1958 when I was going to high school, and joined the Boys Brigade and joined the youth and Sunday school as well, and that was a great time of forming my beliefs. I was saved in 1960, baptised in July 1961 by Ron Nowlin, and then after that continued in the youth, and eventually then went into general serving the church in various other forms.
When Billy Graham was coming to Brisbane, he sent out a real call for counsellors, and people from all over, certainly Brisbane, and all over Queensland, I think, they wanted to be a part of the Billy Graham Crusade. The last night in the, I think it was Friday night and a Saturday night and Sunday night. Sunday night was just, it wasn't in the night, it was in the daytime. And the crowds in the grandstands, that's right, I was trying to think of that. The people that were in those grandstands, they just loaded with people. People were everywhere. And I had a bird's eye view, along with quite a other few councillors, that we were in the centre of the exhibition ground on the level. And when I looked around, all I could see was people, and they'd come from all the churches in Queensland, and it was just loaded with people everywhere. And I can remember this, that when Billy Graham gave the message of the gospel, and when he said, I'm going to ask you, if you want to take Jesus into your life, I want you to stand up and then walk down into the middle of the grounds. And I was in the middle, along with a lot of other people there, and when he said, right, I want you to stand up and come down, there was a phenomenal movement. Thousands of people moved at one time. and they came down into the ground, and this is where the counsellors came and did their work and led these people to Jesus, you see. And it was an incredible time.
So we started there, and look, we never looked back. We just loved it at Greenslopes. We were involved in Sunday school and Boys Brigade and Christian Endeavour and youth activities. Look, we were just embraced by the church family. My passion still is Boys Brigade. I joined in Life Boys when I was about 9, and my first leaders there were two ladies who I really admire, and that was Jeanette and Valerie Ham. It really prepared me for later life, and I made a commitment in 1962 at Greenslopes, and Sid McGrath was our Sunday school superintendent, and I always remember Sid saying to us, never tell a lie, because if you tell one lie, you've got to tell another lie to cover it. And he said, before long, you won't know the difference between lies and the truth. And I've always remembered Sid McGrath saying that. And there's one person I never got to thank him. He's passed away now, Cole McLean. And we all knew him as Clancy. And he was at Boys Brigade every week. We gave him a dreadful time. We gave him absolute heaps every week. And yet this man kept faithfully coming back week after week. He bought a new car, got his licence at an older age, bought a new car. So we decided we'd put the car up on the footpath. So we lifted the back of the car and swung it round onto the footpath. And poor old Clancy, he nearly died when he came out and saw his precious car on the footpath, because how was he going to drive it down? This was just outside the hall. And didn't Huey Conwell get into us? We had to shift his car back onto the road for him before he could take off.
Well, Greenslopes Church has been my home church, my family, all my life. My parents, my grandparents came into membership just before I was born. So I've grown up knowing that this is a family, my church family. In the first, I guess, up to 15 years of my life, there were things that happened in our family. My young father died. There were other deaths and illnesses in the wider family. But the folk at Greenslopes were always there, helping, supporting, caring and loving. And that was a wonderful security for a young person. And it was just a loving, caring family situation. And that's continued in my long years here at Greenslopes. And I'm just so thankful for it. And I must say too, how much help and encouragement that as young people we got. We were encouraged, we were taught, we were counselled, we were led to the Lord, and we were given the privilege of learning to serve. We made some blues, but people still loved us. They may have corrected us, but they cared for us, and that's the most wonderful grounding, which my contemporaries, when we meet now, as we look back from this age, I suppose, we recognise how privileged and blessed we were. So I thank God for the Greenslopes Baptist Church. And as we taught the children in Sunday school, the church is not a building, the church is not a steeple, the church is not a meeting place, the church is people. So thank you, God, for the people of Greenslopes.
Hi, I'm Leslie and I've been part of the Greenslopes family here for 68 years. But one of the most important things in November was the Sunday school anniversary. Now this was terrific because they built a stage right across the front of the church. Okay, so the kindies and the primary used to sit there, but behind them were the tiered seats to the roof. Now the great thing about this tiering was the older you got, the higher you got. So by the time you made it to the top 2 rows, that was terrific because you were by then well in your teens and young adults and you felt really special. And sometimes, you know, we take lightly looking after our children, but really I must say that as I grew up into my teens, it was my Sunday school teacher who brought me to the Lord. And, you know, it really is important that we look after our kids. And I just want to thank God for what's happened in the past and everything that he's done, that we can bring it forward and really bless him for what those that have gone before us have done.
That would be my main impression from Greenslopes Baptist, something that's really stood with me all the years that we've been coming here, was that Peter and I had just been coming here for about 6 months when I had a pregnancy that was very difficult, and I had to have hospital rest and bed rest, and I had a little boy who was 2 years old, and he didn't know anybody here, but the ladies from the church here just supported us like you wouldn't believe. They stayed with us at home and they made meals for us. They looked after David, they took him out, and particularly ladies like Gwen Conwell and Gwyneth Conwell, Lorna Bainham and Jenny Wright. They just were so special and just made us feel so welcome here at a place we'd only just begun to come to church.
Buenos días, hermanos. That is, good morning, brothers and sisters in Christ. That is in Spanish. My name is Caroline Horrell, and my husband Peter and I pastored Greenslopes Baptist Church in the early 80s. We had just returned from Venezuela, and Peter had been in Colombia prior to that, where he was church planting, and in Venezuela he was had developed a curriculum for Bible training seminary, training pastors in Venezuela. But we made some very lasting friendships at Greenslopes. In fact, looking back over our lifetime of ministry, it was the happiest time of our ministry time together. We made some very long-lasting friends, which remain today. We had a wonderful time in there. However, we realised after a couple of years, we realised that the church at Greenslopes was and had been very well taught in the Word of God. We had worked in South American countries and knew the lack of teaching that people had, the lack of the gospel that they knew, and we started to get an itch and a concern to reach people who had not been as taught as well as the Greenslopes people. And so we looked at going to Spain with the Christian Missionary Alliance following our time at Greenslopes, because we had the Spanish language. But we had such fun at Greenslopes with family camps. Peter had the habit of linking one first name with the wrong surname, and the personalities that didn't quite fit, and so there were lots of skits and lots of fun times.
Hi, I'm Betty Marguerite Larwill, and I attended this church for over 50 years. My husband Sid and I were married here, as were our 4 sons, and this was a wonderful fellowship to grow up in and to continue with my own family. And if a church could be said to have a dominant trait of character, I'd say this has been a Bible teaching church from Sunday school up. The pastors all seem to have the gift of teaching. So at Greenslopes, I had a solid grounding in the biblical foundation of the Christian faith. Having said that, that this church cared for its people, its neighbourhood, and sent out missionaries, the church I now attend was founded and launched in the next suburb by Greenslopes to start a Sunday school for children. My youth activities from Sunday school up to my teenage years in youth group were full of fun and friends made for life. Speaking as a mother of 4 sons, my husband and I are forever grateful, especially to the leaders of the Sunday school, the youth group, and the boys' brigade. These leaders were godly models of male character who nurtured and led our boys on hair-raising adventures. So happy 100th birthday, and may God continue to bless you and make you a blessing to others.
Greenslope became my family in 1987, and I found out the love there, the caring that everybody had for a newcomer to the church. Then I got involved in the senior fellowship then, just by helping out, because Lorna and Bob weren't able to do it anymore. Again, what a fellowship we had bowls every Thursday. And then once a quarter, bus trips. We went north, south, east and west once in 3 months, and we had a great time because church people that I met with non-church people, and we just had a great family, and we just loved those bus trips. It was booked out, 40 people each time, each 3 months, and that's how I feel, how we were able to reach out through bowls. The senior fellowship just loved meeting with each other and playing bowls, but most of all the senior bus trip, which was a great time of fellowship with each other. And I just want to thank God for bringing me to Greenslopes, because it just was a great time together with each people caring for each other and non-Christians feeling at home too. Just want to thank God for that.
Okay, when I came to the church in 2000, the congregation was small. It was clear to me that this was a place where God had been working in a powerful way for many, many years. But in the next few years, people came from all nations around the world, and the makeup of the congregation changed dramatically. We had people here from at least half a dozen nations. I can remember people from Iran and Korea and Taiwan and China and obviously America and Fiji. And so everyone together, if you were standing out the front and looking back over the congregation, the makeup of the congregation by the year 2010 was quite different to what it was. The underpinning of the leadership in the church was strong from the era before that, but it changed also as we went through to 2020. We've been blessed to be part of a church during that 20 years that was clearly being touched by God as missionaries went out, and worship was powerful. It was just a beautiful place to be. And during that time, Graham Jones was the leader of the church, and he had a great emphasis on worship, prayer and community. So what a blessing it's been to be part of the church for that 20 years.
One of the great memories I have of Greenslopes Church goes back just 10 years to the 90th anniversary, where as part of our anniversary celebrations, we put together a list of all the miracles that God had done in the 2 years prior to that anniversary. When the list came up, there was over 100 things that had really been of noteworthy, were really noteworthy. Things like cancer cured, things like back straightened, surgery averted on backs because the Lord had brought healing. There was an incredible number of people that had had babies who'd been told, you will never be able to have a baby. So they were just some of the things that the Lord did. And that was like icing on the cake for our 90th anniversary. But when we also stopped and thought about the number of people that have come to know the Lord and then gone on into full-time ministry, and as through a multiplication process, the hundreds, maybe even thousands of people that have come to Christ through the ministry of Greenslopes Baptist Church, I believe the Lord is saying, well done, good and faithful servants, over the years at Greenslopes.
It is a blessing that we have stayed in this church for 16 years now. From the time we entered into Australia, 2004, and Marie and Glory, we were looking for the place. That's the first memory that we have for this church. Like when we came, we were looking for the place, and Marie and Glory introduced us to this church. And from that time, Peter and Glenda, they start to come and pick our kids up and bring them to Brigade. And since that time, we were just received by this church and the members of the church. The love that was shown to us the first time we entered this church, it made us to stay, to feel at home, to take this church as our home church.
Like Thelma said, when we newly came here, the love that was shown to us, it drew us into the church. And that love did not only stay with us, but it was extended to our church back in Africa. I remember this church actually contributed to a church building that is in Guinea, in Zedekore, Guinea, and that's just the love of God. I'm really grateful to God for the love that is shown in this church and the heart that the church have got for missions overseas. I'm really grateful, and I say happy anniversary again.
I want to extend our thanks and appreciation to the Greenslopes Baptist Church for their numerous support towards us. Even when I was in Africa, it was a great blessing to our ministry. Coming to Australia, they have been a great blessing. I just want to say thank you, Greenslopes. We love you, and we hope to continue working along with you. God bless you, and bye for now.
A key memory for me, it's really hard to pick just one because I grew up here in the church. So I was born here, basically had my whole life here until just a few years ago. But I remember when I was a little girl being in Sunday school, and Miss Ham, Jeanette, was my Sunday school leader, and she was just absolutely beautiful in the way that she interacted with me and really helped me understand the Bible. She made the Bible come alive. And I'm just so thankful, so appreciative for everything that she did for me and everything I learned here at Greenslopes.
From the time we came to Australia over 13 years, they have been our church. We found love into the church family. We got a great family here, and we have just been blessed from the time we entered the church. Family and I, being happy, being sad, the church always there for us. We have found really love into the church, and we are grateful to be part. And we have seen a lot of anniversary, and which we have celebrated, and we are grateful that the 100 years have come, and we are still part of it. I'm blessed and happy to be part of this church. Thank you all.
Hello, church family. Happy anniversary, and I'm so grateful to God to be part of the Greenslopes Baptist Church. And I just want to bless God that when we came from Africa, the first church that they showed us was this church by Zachariah and his family. And since then, we've been so grateful to God that we all been here, happy, blessed, and very grateful to God for the church family. Every one of them, they have been part of our life, and I just want to say happy 100th anniversary.
This is a place where God really grew my talent in playing piano for services. I started off playing for Sunday school, and then people just really encouraged me in that. People like Brenton Carbons, he really invested a lot of time in just helping me to worship God through playing piano. But also, in addition to that, I just really enjoyed youth group memories and having lots of fun with people like Greg Smith and Trudy, and we had so many wonderful leaders, and I really wanted to thank them for all of the investment that they've made into my life.
One of my key memories from Greenslopes is coming here on Friday nights for a worship time. It's quite an intimate time, lights down, just someone on guitar singing, but it was a time where we could just really recharge, connect with God in worship, and find that sense of peace and rest in His presence. And that was done as part of a transforming and engaging series of courses that we did here at Greenslopes. And as part of that, we did encounter weekends. It was a very powerful time of retreat, hearing from God and being ministered to. And I remember those times very fondly because it was at a time when there's some things happening in my work setting which were very challenging. So really drew strength from what the church was offering in terms of opportunities to connect with God in a very powerful way.
I'm Sharon Kavanagh. Went to Greenslopes for nearly 30 years, and through that time I've had the church praying for me for my miracle baby, as I was told I couldn't have kids, and I now have a healthy 3-year-old. And thanks to Greenslopes for being there and for praying and believing with me.
No one could have foreseen the changes in culture, technology, and the major world events over the last 100 years, and neither can we predict the shape of the next. But we have this assurance that the gates of hell will not prevail against Jesus' church, and the knowledge that God's creative work is not finished here. Behold, He makes all things new.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes Baptist Church.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes. Happy anniversary, church. Thank you.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes.
Happy 100th anniversary, Greenslopes. Happy anniversary, Greenslopes.
Happy anniversary, anniversary, Greenslopes.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes. Best for the next.
Come on, that's it up.
Wait.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Greenslopes.